What's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, it's Nestlemania alongside for the right is not JC again. We're getting a double dose of the Zote coming in, pinch hitting again, 2 weeks in a row, and it's a big deal. He's got his Zote shirt on, representing the merch. So there we go.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, you just need that quick little hot tag, and the Zote's here to save the day yet again, because JC still in Spain, still, taking in the joys and the culture of another place. So we have to continue to culture ourselves in the world of wrestling, doing it here on the Jobber Knocker. Thanks for having me again, Nestle.
Always a pleasure, Zach. So we've got a lot to talk about. We got Backlash. We've got Raw, SmackDown, maybe some NXT. I don't know. I haven't seen what's going on in NXT specifically. But there's a lot to talk about here. We can even get into maybe particularly John Cena Classic later on. Maybe a little bit teased there. But it's a lot going on in the world of wrestling. But we're going to start at Backlash because it was a PLE. It was a big deal. First two matches were on ESPN2. Let's get to it. They started off hot and heavy. Braun Breaker defeats Seth Rollins by pinfall. 21 minutes, 26 seconds. Your thoughts?
I mean, longest match on the card. Start off hot. Start with one of your most intense feuds. Really hook people in. I thought it was a great way to start the show. Obviously Seth is getting a lot of criticism right now for trying a little too hard in certain places to try to look smoother than he was. Maybe like guy with the knee issue should, try to, just play to what's working for him in a match like this, especially with how much is going into it. But no, I think Backlash as a whole did a lot of things better than WrestleMania. Like, I feel like this should have been the template for how the night should have been. And like, this was a great way to start the pay-per-view. I think Braun winning was the right move. I accurately predicted that. It would have gotten me a point in your Jobber Knocker standings, for people who ever doubted the badassery of Braun Breaker as he slots back into the mid-card. But we'll get back into that later.
So when I watched this match, my original thought was this was great. The Gaga was a little too much for me, but it ended up working out in the long run. Obviously, Braun Breaker won. I was thinking that if I was booking the end of this match, I was hoping it would be one of those things where like somehow Braun Breaker was holding on to Paul Heyman and then, Rollins would stomp Heyman in the process and then that would cost him the match. But it worked either way. It was, they got the crowd up and going. It's funny to me that Seth Rollins is, I don't know if it's him or they're told in commentary to say this, but he's the best of our generation. Like I when I hear that, it always makes me roll my eyes. And I'm not a huge fan of Seth Rollins. Like I respect what he does in the ring, but he's not like my guy. So when I hear shit like that, it makes me want to fucking just throw up. Cause like he's not even in the top 25 in my opinion. And it's bad.
25 of all time or 25 in this current generation?
25 all time.
Okay, because I'm like, all right, if we're talking current landscape, I mean, he could at least make top 25,
Oh, yeah.
Arguably.
No.
Well, like, I agree with you in the sense of, because, like, again, you look at I know he's retired now, but you look at a guy like an AJ Styles. I mean, you look at guys who are, like, all over the world right now, as the current of the generation, or guys who have at least, come before Seth who are still doing it. I could see your parallel there, but I mean, when it comes to being like the upstanding WWE like product mold, like Seth Rollins has kind of just filled that joint perfectly. Like, you put him against whoever and he just goes out there, and it's like you said, like, you can't deny the work that he's put in. You can't deny the performances, show after show, whatever it be, against the Logan Pauls, the AJ Styles, the Roman Reigns, the Cody Rhodes. Like, he's been the most dependable player you can find, and that's why, again, you can have him go in there with a Braun Breaker, open a pay-per-view, set the tone for, honestly, like, a pretty good show, all things considered.
Our Joe Stopper here saying that when there's Pac, there's no talking about Seth Rollins. Well, he is an AEW honk through and through. So he does cover the Jobber Knocker. Does cover AEW for the Jobber Knocker. He does a fantastic job over at jobberknocker.com. And of course he talks, very eloquently about it, but I think Pac's great, but I think Pac has become less exciting the longer he's on television, but that's beside the point.
I mean, hey, he's fighting on a golf course, man. He's doing innovative things in wrestling right now, Mr.
Hey, don't you hate on golf? Don't you listen to me? Don't you hate on golf?
Have you been watching the Truist Cup?
No.
Also, we want to talk about other sports here. Got
it. long awkward pause. Yeah. So look, I'll say this much. Overall, right man won. We're moving on, right? We can talk about Monday after we get through all this stuff. Up next, Trick Williams. That's right. Whoop that trick. Actually, whoop that trick in 12 minutes, 56 seconds, and retaining the United States Championship. I don't know. This is tough for me. It's really weird. Like I like Trick Williams. I like what Sami Zayn is doing. I didn't have anything wrong with the match in general. I don't know. I feel like I'm glad it's over. We can move hopefully on from this because I feel like we'll talk about what happened on Friday, but it's just fucking hard.
The key word is hope, Nestle. We hope this is over because we're seeing from the fallout of the main event that just because an issue seems done on Backlash that you never know. And I mean, clearly the people are into whatever the stuff was on SmackDown. I mean, again, we'll get into it later, but this was the only match that I didn't really see in its entirety. I just obviously know I've seen bits and pieces. I know the finish. And so it's, again, at least it's one of those things where it's better than the Mania match, but it's how we get here. It's okay. Like I'm kind of just over this weird dynamic that the characters are in. Like I need it to kind of be like back on track. Like, hey, this is where these characters, like, this is how you're supposed to view these characters. Like, it gets difficult when you're trying to watch a match and then it like, okay, we're grooving. And then it's like, well, wait, what was that? Why did we do that? And that's going to become apparent in a later match. I'll bring it up.
Wow. That's what we call a tease in the biz. Well done. Moving on. I just want to talk about this match all fucking day because I think this match really just fucking set the tone for me. Danhausen and Minihausen defeat The Miz and Kit Wilson by pinfall, 11 minutes, 38 seconds. Now, look, I should preface this with I made a joke on Twitter saying, I think Bruce Pritchard thinks Danhausen is doing the clown. And I made a joke to my friend Dom saying, watch there be a little guy because, there's Doink and Dink. He messaged me and went, you son of a bitch. And then everybody in the Dropper Knocker thread knows this one. I was praying for them to use the mirror against Danhausen to curse himself. And they fucking used that spot. And I was so fucking happy. The only thing, and I will say this much. If you don't like entertainment, clearly this was not for you. I love Danhausen. I love The Miz. I love Kit Wilson. I thought all of this was fantastic. You need a cleansing of the palate after certain things happen. Danhausen is the perfect cleansing for your palate when you're watching entertainment. I fucking laughed my ass off when he thought he was going to get something really cool out of that box and he looked at the camera and was like, shit. Oh, well, and moved on with it. I was so fucking happy. You're right, Joe. Put that fucking up. Nestle knows, right? Because JC's not here. So we can say some nice things about me for once because JC's not here. Next week, I'm sure he'll pull his pants down and shit all over everything I talk about, but that's fine. That's not this week. That's next week. I will say this much. The only thing, it was already an A++. The only thing they could have made it an A+++ was when they went back in and they threw the little guy in the Minihausen into the box. I looked at Atlee because we were watching with Atlee and Todd and our boy Richie. And I looked at Atlee and I said, how fucking awesome would this be if they fucking pulled the lever and out came like a fucking giant Hausen? I would have fucking lost it. I would have been like, this is the greatest thing. I mean, all the minis coming out was great too because it was a callback from WrestleMania. But man, I could talk about this forever. And I want to give a special shout out to The Miz because The Miz made that fucking match. Danhausen is Danhausen, and I'm sure Danhausen will be fine. But when you work with someone like The Miz finds a way for you to remember everything he does. And he does not have to win. He can cut a promo afterwards and he'll be totally fine. That man is Teflon. And I can't tell you, Zach, how much I enjoyed this entire thing.
You're right. And this is one of those things where like obviously speculation ran rampant. Everybody set expectations. This was one of those things where like as zany as it felt like it could have been a SmackDown thing. I feel like you said, you know, you need a palate cleanser, and I feel like with the way they ordered the card, I feel like they should have switched this and the match that comes after it, just because it was the first thing to hit the app portion of the stream. You know what I mean? Like, all right, here's some serious stuff. Have your serious, then your goop, then your big main. But like, I can't disagree with what you said. I mean, Miz is an absolute general in there. Like, you have to realize Danhausen like did not really tag into this match until the end. He did not have to do anything. And shout out the Minihausen, who, you know, sold his ass off for basically 10 straight minutes. I won't lie. I agree with you where the it's hilarious where he's like, ah, and then it runs, and then the little one right by him, and he's still looking up for somebody else, and he's like, oh, my partner. Okay. I feel like it would have been better had they not did the spot at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Because now it's like, okay, here, if this was going to be your big surprise, why is it something you've already shown us? It's a trick you've already played, you know? And then for like the minis reveal was perfect because he goes back into the machine, they clone. Of course, more minis would come out. But again, at that point, it's like subvert the expectation, you know, because like this was the play that you played at WrestleMania. So like now it's kind of just a repeat joke, and it becomes how funny can it be? Which here was still hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing, and any criticism I possibly had while watching it couldn't have mattered because it was just that entertaining. I thought for sure that the mirror skull crushing finale, super lift up style was it. Like they had me, like as a fan, they hooked me, and I was genuinely into that near fall. And so it takes you on the roller coaster. And that's, again, the testament of someone like a Danhausen, where only his character can create an ethos like this, where characters like The Miz and Kit Wilson can play the perfect foils for it. I mean, I agree. I think a giant Danhausen would have been absolutely great. Like, oh, they should have did it a third time where they pushed all the minis in and then they combined into like the Megazord Danhausen.
Yeah, we were joking. We were joking it would be Omos. Like that'd be fucking hilarious.
I heard somebody be like they should have just grabbed like a Big Trouble Ben Bishop off the Indies, you know, the Matt Cardona guy, and like just because he's a comedy wrestler and he's fantastic, and you know, like anybody would thrive to be in a spot like that if you've got the size, you know. So these are all things that maybe they'll do in the future, you know. But it's like you said, we could go on about this all day because like. It was hilarious. Like, and then we're sitting there. I'm watching it with other wrestling people, and we're like, "Is this a lucha? Is this a lucha mini?" And then it comes out, and I'm like, "Oh shoot, Olay!"
Yeah, there he is. Yeah,
like who doesn't love that? Like, you know, goes from WLC to friggin' Backlashhausen.
I'm telling you right now, the WLC is still one of my favorite things to watch. Like, that had such a low expectation for me, and I was watching it with a bunch of non-wrestling fans at work one day because we were watching it live when it happened, and they could not stop watching this. They were like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life," and that shows you though, like in terms of like we're hardcore wrestling fans, we've been watching for a long time, but when you think about someone who has no idea of what wrestling is and they see that, that's fucking entertainment. And like I think. As much as we're like worried about Danhausen being overexposed or whatever, but like the realization is like that guy, like I showed Danhausen to my children the other day. They've never seen Danhausen because they heard me say something like very nice, very evil, you know, whatever. And they were like, what is that? So I showed it to him. And now that my son looks at me and says, Dad, Danhausen's my favorite wrestler. And I was just like, of course, because he's 6 years old and he wants to be laughing and he wants to have fun. He likes the whole like thing. So like, the kids are going to fucking love him. I really do believe that this guy is going to be kind of just making money no matter where he goes after this.
As much as you're one of my favorite partners, Nestle, I do have a goal one day to share a commentator's booth with WeBL. That point aside, you're right. And this is one of those things where it's like, I hate the the way the business of WWE is structured, because it's like you said, this is a character that is made for like a mass populace. Danhausen is one of those things that's already like you said, we can talk about being overexposed all you want, but the fact is it's working. Like it's hitting past it's the same thing like Joe Hendry. Like whatever his niche thing is, it is transcending past wrestling, and it is becoming something that like a casual person sees that paint design and they go, oh, the curse guy, you know, like it's crazy that something that starts off in wrestling, like an MJF mid promo, goes stupid viral, and now everybody's about mid. Or Joe Hendry, like nobody knows who a Joe Hendry is, but they believe in him because his song is stupid catchy. Now, like I was almost feeling bad for like an Obafemi. I'm like, I really hope he doesn't become a meme wrestler, because like everybody does his stuff, and I'm like, nah, he still needs to kind of still be badass Obafemi, which, you know, I think he very much will have no problem doing. But again, it's just one of those things where like Danhausen is just so good at what he does that it captivates you. Like even as a hardcore wrestling fan, like you said, you can buy into it. And as a non-wrestling fan, you can just look at that and go, okay, this is fun. I can see why people watch this. I can see why people find some enjoyment, because it's not about how wrestling is. It's about just how much fun it can be. That's the F word that should be used with wrestling. Fun.
Yeah, that's good. Joe was saying his wife was humming the Fire Logan Paul song. So there you go. Not a wrestling fan. She's a casual drive-by when Joe is watching. So the Fire Logan Paul does work. So I think you're right. I think the one thing that we've really forgotten about, and I think you hit it right on the head there, Zach, was they're using these particular pieces, the Joe Hendrys, the Danhausens, the Logan Paul, all these things, Jelly Rolls. I guess Jelly Rolls no longer with the WWE. It's a whole thing. I don't even know. Todd was telling me about it. You can Google it. All the others, the little yachties, they're strategically placing these things as a catch-all to hit certain pockets of demographics, and it's working. Like I don't agree with everything, but I'm always like, yes, I love good wrestling and I love watching people who do good wrestling. I think that's awesome. I love athleticism. I'm an athlete. I love sports. Like that's my thing. But when you can go out there and do absolutely nothing and get a reaction, I'm fascinated by that, because your longevity is it just keeps going because you don't have to kill yourself in the ring. And so I applaud all of these people who think outside the box, because I think we need more people like that in the world, but let alone in our entertainment. So I fucking love it. But anyway, we should probably get moving on to something else. We have Asuka getting defeated by Io Sky, 18 minutes, 7 seconds. This one was weird because I didn't know who to root for. I didn't know who to boo. Obviously, I love Io. I do like Asuka. The ending of the match made a lot of question marks. We can talk about Monday later. Again, fantastic fire match. I thought it was really fun. I didn't necessarily know what do you do with Io after this, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it was a great wrestled match. I don't think it's as hard to like see where to boo, where to cheer until what happens afterwards, where they like really drop it. And that was one of my biggest like detractions from the match, where it's like obviously everything that's being said about it, all the situation at hand and what happens on Monday, you know. But I think that's one of those things where it's like, okay, emotional embrace, do it backstage. Like, and if you want to do the little one on Monday, cool. But like you sell this as like this super serious mentor-mentee blood feud, and then immediately drop the veil as soon as like it gave me like a weird curtain call vibe, where it's like, hey, like we get it, we get what you were doing, but why now? Why do it with that ambiance? That's not to take away from the match though, because like the match was so well wrestled, which is to be expected from competitors like Asuka and Io. The notebook spot was mwah, like like catching the mist with the like. It's one of those spots where it's like, wow, I wouldn't have thought of that one. And here's something where it's like, okay, how does somebody counter being sprayed by mist? create a shield, utilize what's around. You're in, like, it's like the old senseis in those samurai movies, like use your surroundings to your advantage, and literally picking that up to then, you know, get her in position for the moonsault. Like, I don't know, like, it worked. It did what it needed to. I think it was a good book closer, you know, for the feud. Like the Braun Breaker Seth thing, it probably should have been at WrestleMania, but to its advantage, like I've mentioned, like, I think Backlash did a lot of things better that WrestleMania should have, where this match was able to have the time to actually tell the emotional story, get you invested in who's going to win and who's going to lose. Like, it's same thing with the Breaker Seth match. They had longer than Seth and Gunther did. Trick and Sammy had longer than they did at WrestleMania. So these matches had the time to breathe, to really get you into them, and they made the most out of only having 5.
Fair enough. The Joe Stopper said this match would have been lost in the chaos of WrestleMania, which I tend to agree. I don't think they would have gotten time, as you just stated. So I think it's fine where it was, and they pushed it off. But again, I am curious what we do with EO next, because now it feels like we're kind of up a creek without a paddle, as they say. So I'm curious, because I love EO Sky. I think she's fantastic. So I thought this was a great wrestling match. I thought it was, I always, like I said, the moral barometer for me is if you can stop and look at the crowd for a second. And when you're watching a crowd on that hard cam wide shot, if you look at them and everybody's standing, you know you've got them. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on. If you people standing out of their seats to watch the ending of a match, they've come out of their seat out of excitement for you. So I think they did a great job. Moving on. Main event time. We got Roman Reigns defeats Jacob Fatu by pinfall, 17 minutes, 50 seconds to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. I'll say this much. I liked what they did for the most part of this matchup, but the one thing that really fucking pissed me off, was fucking 1, 2, 3. He fucking spears him 1, 2, 3. He wins. And then it's like Jacob gets up way fucking before him. And Roman Reigns is sitting there. And I understand what they're doing. Like, you won, but you survived. You didn't really beat him. I get what they're doing because it's continuing. But I just thought it was so fast. And it didn't breathe. And I just felt like they just did a disservice to that. And I'm sure they picked up on a Monday and we can talk about it later. But like, I fucking hated that ending. And I was like, I get it. He took the title, whatever. But like, I just felt like it was a consolation to me. Like, it felt like a weird fucking ending. I know it's not ending, but it is the ending of the PLE. It just felt weird to me. Like, I didn't enjoy it. And like, I understand he's a werewolf. All right. I get that, Joe.
Rawr.
You know, it's not like he's going to get shot with silver bullets or something, is he? You know, Jesus. But no, my thought is like, and this is hand to God, this is exactly how I feel. I love Jacob Fatu. So I felt like I wasn't happy with what happened on Saturday and wasn't happy what happened on Monday, but that's fine. I am fatigued with how much Roman Reigns feels the same. I am fatigued with how much the Usos feel the same. I feel like we are literally this is the weirdest comparison I can make, and I can only make it because I'm a father and I have to deal with this shit all the time. It's like I'm watching Moana with my daughter. She fucking loves Moana. And then I got to fucking turn around. I would turn around in my seat, but I'd probably fall over. You know, fucking turn around. And in June, there's a live action Moana. Not a new one. The exact same fucking thing, but with real people. Because we can't have any original ideas. We just got to go back to the fucking drawing board and use what we know makes a shit ton of money. And it's the same thing with the Bloodline. Bloodline first time, Bloodline second time. It's a whole fucking new ballgame. We're at the first fucking inning all over again.
It's exactly like we harped on last week. And the question still rings true. And that is, how do you make this Roman Reigns title run feel different than him holding the title for 4 years? What more can you do with a Roman Reigns as a champion? And this is where, like, I feel like it's the only real because again, you look at the Danhausen match and it should have been something that you found ridiculous, but no, you get lost caught up in it. So it's a plus on the pay-per-view. This just felt like the most fine thing. Like, if Backlash is one of those ones they qualify as a B pay-per-view. it really kind of just felt like a B main event. And I think that like the promo with the Usos on SmackDown with Fatu and like every week on Raw being main evented by Roman and somebody and Roman doing promo, like it's like you said, it's starting to get repetitive. It's starting to feel like the same spin. And so like the main event of this pay-per-view was just a B main event. It was fine. It was Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu. It was a Roman Reigns match until the end of it. You know, the kick out at 1 off the Superman punch was cool, but like, it was like, all right, it's not that deep in the match where like a kick out at 1 really feels warrantly fucking cool. And the one thing that I cannot get my head off of, which is the thing that I alluded to earlier, is the fact of the exposed buckle right in front of the referee. Like, because it's even crazier where what the heck was it? Where something else happened and it was like because they bumped the ref. That's what, like, when they bumped the referee to do a straight regular sequence where nothing bad happens. It's just a spear near fall. And then you use the buckle right in front of the ref. So why did you bump him earlier then? Do it there to make your finish happen. And then the worst part of it is nobody, as much as we're worried about acknowledging Roman, nobody's acknowledging that. And it's like, but that's kind of the crux of how we got here, because Roman didn't survive Fatu without having to dig into his BS. Because the only thing that it didn't feel different about being a Roman match is it didn't have 18 interferences. But there was your new out card, was finding a way to cheat without cheating, even though the referee blatantly saw it. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it goes, because I mean, they're still trying to make this Tongan death grip feel like the most devastating thing. And again, I think they did that better on Monday than they did on the pay-per-view, which we'll talk about more when we talk about Monday.
Overall, Backlash, letter grade, what do you got?
I mean, I'd give it a solid B+. I honestly, I think that they did a better job with the matches, their engagement, you know, letting them breathe. I didn't feel like I had to sit, even though obviously there were still plenty of ad breaks, but they felt like, okay, it was a nice little breather in between the matches instead of being like, when is this match going to start? Like, you know how crazy it was for like Seth Rollins' music to hit and it was 6:05. And I'm like, hold on, we're actually getting into straight wrestling on a wrestling PLE? Crazy thoughts. But I mean, again, like, and even then, like, the main event I said was fine, but it's still Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns in a main event match that still has your kit caboodles. So you can't say it was bad. Like, nothing was, you know, done inherently wrong. Nothing was offensive or anything like that. And again, like, they did better than WrestleMania. If you had a letter grade for WrestleMania, this should have been better than it.
That's fair. I would have given it a B, so that was fine. Anyway, moving on, we should get into the regular part of the show. Always in the shine, only talking about positive things here. We're probably not going to talk about everything on SmackDown, because SmackDown was a precursor to the PLE, so we can only talk about things maybe that we really need to talk about SmackDown.
I also watched everything out of order. Like, I watched everything, and then I watched SmackDown last. So it is like the least thing in my brain. So I'm like, all right, it makes a nice because like everything I could say about SmackDown becomes, oh, well, they either play it up on Backlash or it subsequently on Raw. So we'll probably nitpick it, but
that's fine. I am curious what you thought was the most positive thing this week.
I think personally it circles back to what you said earlier. And well, two things really. One, it's what do we do next with EO, which is still a little undefined, but it's also sometimes you just want good wrestlers to go out and do a good wrestle. That's sometimes it's the most simple formula. And so when they pop up the graphic for EO Sky versus Sol Ruka, I go, why are we doing this match? This feels like the most like universe mode, simulate a couple weeks, and then this is a match that like they auto booked into your template. And then it happened. And then I'm like, okay, it's babyface. There's no heat. This is literally just two wrestlers gradually outdoing each other and gradually getting like more and more into their freaking well until Io Sky being one of the best wrestlers in the world, proving it why having a really good counter to the Soul Snatcher where she catches her in that crucifix. And you know, like the cartwheel DDT from Sol Ruka was in like again the same way I felt with like the near fall in the Danhausen Miz match. I felt that same way, like where it's like, oh, that was a really like it had me there. You know, when Io bumped Soul in the corner, like I was like, that's a nasty looking fall. Like they are going for it. They are giving these two time. They're letting them go, and it ended in the same way where I praised the women's tag finish from a couple weeks ago. Same thing here. I really like how creative that finish was. It sucks that it kind of harps Sol Ruka immediately, but again, you can't sit here and say it wasn't a quality performance. Io Sky doing what Io Sky does. I mean, maybe if this becomes like a little triple field for the women's IC, the same way that the men's IC is doing this little four-way dance that's continuing to entertain, maybe that's a good spot for Io. Or maybe they're just going to slaughter back with Liv because Liv has nothing better to do right now. But either way, Io's going to beat Io and Io's going to kill. And hopefully Sol Ruka will continue to have standout performances like this.
I love this match. I thought it was great and awesome. The only thing that really fucking bothered me was the fucking, you got me at the end. And it was like, that's not her character. Like, she just fucking came onto the scene. I don't care about her losing right away. Like, I can get over that. But the other thing that really fucking bothered me was like, she just had a fucking promo last week with Becky Lynch where she was going toe to toe with her, giving her shit, fucking having a mean streak, going for broke, and then being like, oh, shucks, I'll get you next time. And then, like, of course, they have the backstage segment with Becky Lynch where she goes, you know, you couldn't even beat Io Giannetti. And I was just like, well, that didn't help anybody. Like, I understand what you're doing. And I understand that that's part of like the lore of like, we make a joke of it, but like, in the process, you just shit on two fucking people who just had an incredible match. Which I get it as a fan. I get what you're doing, but there's got to be a better way to do this. Like, it felt lazy to me. And I was just like, God, I hated the idea that she was okay with losing. First off, I just think that was stupid for Sol Ruka. Like, as a character, get upset that you lost. Like, shake hands and be like, fuck, I'm pissed off that you lost. And then, like, you know, then go to the Becky Lynch thing. But I thought the Giannetti comment was just like, geez, like, I think Becky Lynch does a fantastic job of being a good heel. I think she's one of the best. But, like, she just, I don't know. I just felt like that was an ill-placed timing kind of thing in that promo.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes at a time where there's a lot of, like, really just, like, is this the best time to say? Like, because, again, it's not offensive. It's not, like, anything that's, like, cancelable. Like, it's not like that line of bad. It's more in the wrestling mentality sense of bad, where it's like, why are you going to where you know where this is going to be going? Like, you as the performer know, okay, I'm in this thing with Sol Ruka, so why would you then make Sol Ruka sound like crap? I think the shock loss thing works a little bit better than being led on. Like, I think it's better than Paul Heyman telling the Vision at one point was like, you guys still have a lot to learn. Like, at least it's Sol Ruka being like, oh, what the frig? Okay, maybe like I did come in a little hot and I have to realize, you know, like there is shit to, like, there's still holes. There's still things that I need to improve on if I'm gonna then, you know, be able to stand to a Becky Lynch. But for Becky to have that little snark and for Sol to not even be able to, like, you know, stand her ground, that's where it becomes, again, the presentation in the follow. Like, the moment was fine in itself, but Io, I'll never, Io's a great wrestler. I can never buy into her, like, being emotional with somebody because it just comes off as her, like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to say about you in the most, like it's like story time baby face. But, like, again, I wish Sol had a little bit more to kind of, like, stand on her feet even afterwards, where it's like, okay, you know, I mean, I don't know what you say to somebody just blatantly going, well, you lost to Giannetti, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's fucking weird. Anyway, anything else you thought was positive?
I mean, I kind of alluded to it. I mean, I think the other strongest thing on Raw was the Rusev Javon Evans match. I mean, I think they had a really good back and forth match. I think as much like the way I gave the praise of how EO and Soul had it's just us working up and working up and working up together. This was your classic, hey, I am the big brute. You are the little boy that's going to bounce off of me. And like, it just worked. And I think the promo segment beforehand, I wish Penta would speak a little more Spanish than trying to, again, force the babyface-ness of being the champion. But like, I loved Ego's justifications. I loved him friggin' immediately like yipping to Rusev. Javon friggin' snarking at him. It's like, I mean, yeah, I totally can beat you. Like this. And I think a lot of it, even where last week I came into this and I was like, Rusev kind of just feels meh in all this. And, you know, a week later, I'm like, yeah, no, he actually like kind of feels like he should be here. Like this is working now because they're actually giving him something to sink into. They're giving him time to like flesh himself out rather than just being guy who fights solo in the Cena tournament or fights this guy in this. Like, no, here's him like actually being upset that somebody's trying to cut the line of somebody who's been here doing this for so long, and you're just the new kid who got a win in a match that we were the winners of, you know? Like, I don't know how well it's going to go for your little Rusev Ego alliance, though, if this is how they're already acting after 1 week.
Fair enough. That's fine. I enjoy Rusev. I enjoy all four people. I think they're great. I think this is a great match. I mean, anytime I see Javon Evans, I'm just like, well, at least I know I'm going to have fun. Like, I think that's what we talked about. Like, the word of the day is fun. Pee Wee Herman's out. You know, whatever. I do want to bring a certain shout out in the shine here for something that I thought was interesting, which I thought.
Yes, please.
It was really like, okay, Gunther's on SmackDown. The favor is that he got a title shot and now he's working on SmackDown. Get him away from Roman. Get him away from all the other people and let Cody Rhodes just do things. The one thing I did, and this is where I know that if Josh, who the fuck is Josh? JC listening, he'll say, here, I'm not here. So here he is taking a pot shot. But it's true, in my opinion. They're really trying to hit that fucking Cody Rhodes line. Like, here on SmackDown, easy to find, hard to beat. And it's just like, I get it. It's a good tagline. But it's just the way that Cody does it is just, he's just so Cody about it. Like, I don't know, like, I get it. He's such a good communicator. But I just like every once in a while, he's like cringe Cody every once in a while. Like he just can't help himself. But I am excited. The one thing I noted was, I think Heyman said this as a foreshadowing line, and this is an additional Nestle hope. I am begging and pleading. They made this throwaway line. It might be there in a year, 2, maybe 3. But Heyman said, at one point, everyone needs a wise man. And he looked back at him, and I'm like, Cody Rhodes with Paul Heyman would be fucking awesome. And he doesn't need it, because Cody Rhodes can communicate far better without Heyman. But seeing that alliance at some point will be fucking cool, I think, personally.
No, you're not wrong. And I mean, I even liked where Cody calls out Heyman, and he's like, you know, here's this person that's not with you anymore, and here's this. And it's like, are you running out of options? Is this why you're like hooking up Gunther? I mean, in my opinion, yeah, he's got to be running out of options, pretty desperate if he's rolling around with Austin Theory. But you know, that's a he. But no, I think it is interesting that the favor was, oh, move me to SmackDown and get me a shot at Cody. Like, I guess that really does put to bed anything about, you know, a potential, you know, Brock being Brock about it, you know, and which is great. Because, I mean, if Oba gets to have that mantle of definitively ending Brock Lesnar, good for him. Let him strut that till the day he god darn dies, because now he's the man who beat the streak, who obliterated John Cena, all that fun jazz. I guess I think it's just weird that, like, okay, thanks, Paul, and then he just had, like, they just didn't even let him, like, get a good jump. Like Cody just kept knocking him off like a tennis. Like, yeah, keep trying. And then, like you said, it's the line where it's so. I'm gonna start describing things like that now. It's just so Cody about it.
He
like,
is.
like because it literally it just feels like another thing. He's like, I'm surprised. Is there a shop.com shirt for this already? Like, do they?
I'm sure it is.
There's no way they're not trying to cash coin this term. Like,
I'll take a look.
No shot in hell. If it isn't, then give it a. Because listen, I think they do listen to this freaking stuff. So
I just typed in hard to find. I'm gonna see if it says hard to find. Yep, easy to find, hard to beat.
There it is.
Yep, it's a t-shirt.
I'm sure Brandy knows how hard it is to beat.
Ugh. It is under the most popular, by the way. So just to let you know.
See, I must be working. Hey, you know what? There ain't no better worker than the son of a plumber. Am I right?
I will say, it is interesting. It goes against everything I know about t-shirts. It has Cody's face with blood on it, which I was just like, it's a good visual. But usually they tell you face shirts don't sell as good as letters and graphics. So it's interesting.
I personally can't stand a person on a shirt unless it's like a very minute case, you know, like if it's done like really well. But like I can't stand wearing somebody on me. It's just weird. I mean, John Cena's like the rare exception because like that's his freaking workshop. And you know, again, he cartoons himself and stupid whatevers, you know, it's memeified. But just sticking yourself on a t-shirt is like, why do I want to wear your face? I have my own face.
All right, is there anything else that we didn't talk about that's positive for you? We gotta kind of get through the rest of this. So
I mean, at the end of the day, thank you, Oscar. Thank you for as much as you have given. And, you know, I think that was what you want to do with, you know, if you're going to have that drop of the veil, you know. But again, I mean, EO kind of EO. As much as Cody's things, EO definitely EO'd it. EO. Where it's like, we will always be family. And it's like, okay, I get it. Your familial ties. Thank you very much. But yeah,
and then they stayed on her way too long afterwards, and I was just like, is there more to this promo? Nope, just awkwardness. It's fine. It doesn't help. It doesn't fucking help.
I mean, I'll throw a little bit of sprinkle shine just because there's not really a lot to talk about on SmackDown outside of, you know, just like some decent enough matches. But I think like we alluded on last week, it's all about your presentation and about your follow. And I think they're once again hitting the nail on the head with this fatal influence stuff. I think them literally just roughshotting like half the division and setting them up on a T for Jade Cargill and making them seem kind of cool was nice. But like, again, it's them planting their feet in everything. And JC Jane getting a pin on another main eventer on top of them, you know, oh, you know what? Paige and Brie, you shouldn't be worried about the Judgment Day because look at what we're doing. This is like we're doing the stuff right now. And I think each piece got to shine in it. The 6-woman tag with Rhea, Charlotte, and Alexa. So if they keep up momentum like this, I wouldn't mind if they just strap all the freaking belts to this group and just call it a gosh darn day because the momentum's behind them right now. What do you got to lose? I mean, we're seeing the benefits of taking these chances, but like, especially now with something like a John Cena Classic coming up, like show the proof of concept, like really just let these freaking new characters flourish. You know, Sol Ruka is going to take a little bit of time because, you know, they're going to have her doing this stuff where Becky's burying her. But I mean, again, if you're going to start them off swinging, let them swing for the fence.
Fair enough. I think it's time we get into the heat. Get him up my TV, get him up my TV, get him up my TV. We could talk about a lot of things, but Zach and I were joking about this before we hit record. So I feel like this is where we have to fucking start so I don't fucking lose my steam later on in the program. The fucking main event of SmackDown was a funeral for a fictional, non-moving piece of mascotty clothing. The gingerbread man. Now, the AI photos did make me chuckle, and the AI moments were great. But the fucking segment, I was just like, I'm all for entertainment, but there has to be good entertainment. I think this is on the opposite side of Danhausen. I think it's on the opposite of the spectrum. I just felt like I appreciated that Sami Zayn came out and talked about all this stuff and whatever. But when I saw this was the main event, I was just like, my head hurts because it was like 6 segments leading up to this thing. And it felt very Attitude Era and not in a good way. It felt very much like a campy, just shitty. It felt like, as much as everybody goes, oh, the Rock and Sock connection was great and so fucking great and whatever, which it was, like, this is your life segment, whatever, sure. But like, it felt very vibish of like, this is not something I want someone to like walk in and watch me watching. Like, I would feel embarrassed if someone I knew watched me watch this. Like, it just felt like, what the fuck is this? Like, it didn't help in any way. And like, I get it. It was like, oh, the gingerbread man's funny and it's over. But I just feel like we went back like 6 fucking, I don't know, years or 6 paces. It felt unnecessary is what I'm trying to say.
You're, again, hit the nail on the head. Unnecessary, especially like as a main event. And that's why, I liked Sami coming out and being like, main eventing SmackDown, being the last thing on the show meant something. Being United States champion meant something at one time. And this is what we're doing. I can admire, and this is the most silver of silver linings possible. I can at least admire Trick Williams's full commitment to the bit. Like having the choir, having a whole song mocked up that perfectly rhymed. Like, when you say Attitude Era, this felt very rock concert. Like, and so at that, I can appreciate you putting so much of your mental capacity to ensuring that your part of it made sense. Your part of it came off the way it was supposed to, even though, again, I'm not a fan of this whole thing. Little Yachty being in the costume, like, at the end was, again, an interesting way to, like, all right, if you're going to build the pay-per-view match, sure. But I can't sit here and lie. I think the AI thing is just freaking lazy, distasteful. Like, if you're gonna commit to a bit, take this stupid freaking thing and like actually do a photo shoot with it. Like, actually get some candid shots with it. Or for the couple of like, Photoshop them into the freaking WrestleMania 30 spot with The Undertaker. Like, I don't care how you pull that off, okay? But like, it was hokey. That's where it comes off to me, where it's just hokiness, where it's like, and I just don't get how it got over, because there are people who are like genuinely mourning it. Like, the crowd was into it, which is wicked weird for a Jacksonville crowd. Like Cody Rhodes saying Jacksonville, what do you want to talk about on SmackDown? Felt like I was in an anomaly time loop. I'm like, wait, we're in Jacksonville and Cody Rhodes is here and the world hasn't exploded yet? Mm-hmm. True. So like, I'm surprised this isn't getting more eaten up. Like, the amount of things I scroll through Twitter and I see people who have made their own AIs of like, like spending WrestleMania with the gingerbread man, or like having him at their high school graduation. I'm like, what the are we doing right now? Like, why? I would not at all want to freaking say that I was friends with a gingerbread man. It would make it seem like I have some really crummy friends.
Right.
Crummy, if you will. They're crummy.
They're crummy. Nice pun. Nice pun.
Hashtag Zote knows.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know. Anyway, we can move on from it. It bothered the fuck out of me because I was like, this is how we're ending it. It just,
and like I said, there were a couple, like the Tala Tonga and Damian Priest wasn't a bad match.
No,
it could have been a main event. Royce Keys versus Tama Tonga. You could have had that be like a little back-to-back series, or make it a tag match playa. Like, there was so many like, why does that have to be the match? You had a women's United States Championship match that was only given like barely 6 minutes, that you could have given 10 and had it be a main event. Right. It's Kiana James, so is Kiana James a SmackDown main eventer? Who freaking knows? But again, just for a main event, it just felt wrong.
You're right. You're right. All right. So here's some quick heats I'm gonna give you. Ricky Saints calling Cardona QB4. Didn't like that. I was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, I get what we're doing with insults here. We're hurling insults, but sometimes I feel like when you hurl insults, you're just actually calling upon something, and like QB4 might as well just be the new jobber. Like that's what it felt like when he said it. And I was just like, I get it. But I was like, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if it didn't look like Cardona was already won previously. Like that's where my head was at. I was just like, you could call anybody that, but like him, it's just like, ugh, I don't know. But anyway,
especially because he's, you know, a guy like him comes in with everything that he's busted his ass for,
right?
To just fall into, like you said, kind of just being exactly what he already has been there.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, you know, because he could be a SmackDown main event instead of Mr. Main Event. But you never know. That could benefit him one day. Being the biggest loser could benefit Matt Cardona.
Okay.
I mean, we know, but we'll talk about it later.
We will talk about it later. I didn't really enjoy any time that Paige or Brie Bella is talking. That's just not for me.
No.
Whatever.
Paige feels the most just here ever. Like, she came back at WrestleMania and now kind of has, even with a championship, is just part of the show.
Yeah.
Like, she had 2 promo segments that both did the same thing, and she barely got to say anything in them. In fact, I mean, hey, we want to talk about people freaking throwing others under the bus. How about Raquel Rodriguez with the, hey, we waiting for your next scandal. Hey, Paige, how's this bus feel?
Yeah. And on top of that, you got the fucking Vision, Austin Theory saying something about Bianca Belair or something, right? Like taking shots at all
that
like,
Montez
Jesus.
Ford can't pay the bills no more because Bianca
Jesus.
Belair's at home.
Like, I get it. I'm all for hurling insults, but like sometimes I'm just like, when it came from Austin Theory, I was like, dude, what the fuck are you? I'm like, Montez makes more money than probably you. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Dude,
Like,
and that whole thing is heat. Get that whole thing off my TV, because you know that feeling I talked about when it came to the beginning of Backlash, where Seth Rollins came out in the first 5 minutes, and I was like, "Ooh, wrestling."
Yeah.
I really thought when the Visions music hit, I'm like, are we just getting straight into the 6-man tag? No, it took us 20 minutes to get there because we needed another inherent promo. And worst of all, they couldn't just let Paul talk. They couldn't give the mic to Braun Breaker. No, they gave it to Austin Theory. And he said nothing. Like nothing, dude. He bumbled around to get where he wanted to go, and then the Street Profits came out. I hope they win the belts just so I don't have to deal with these freaking numbskulls anymore. Like, ay. The only benefit is that we keep getting more Fire Logan Paul song time, you know?
That's it. Yeah.
I was, you know, as much as whoever else was singing it, I was humming it before we even clicked on it. Like, before you sent me the thing, I was like, setting up my camera. Paul, can we please fire Logan Paul?
And of course, we'll move on. We've talked about pretty much almost anything here. However, let me see. So we didn't talk about the Jacob Fatu and OTC stuff at the end here. It was a lot of drama at the end here. Nothing really made it like, here's the thing. I want to cheer for Jacob, but now it feels like they full-fledged made him a bad guy or they made him a crazy guy. I'm still going to cheer for him. I'm still going to want to see him win the championship because I think he's awesome. But there's just something about the entire OTC thing where it was like the drama of it all. I was just like, I'm sorry. I really do feel like this is bad acting. Like there's something about it that is like, I appreciate they're trying to make him dangerous. I appreciate all of what they're trying to put in here. I'm just saying, I think it's just not working. Like, I love the line of OTC is DOA. I thought that was great. I love that he came back and fucking took them all out. Like, he's super dangerous. But, like, there's something weird about it. It's like we're putting all this effort in just for a rematch for him to lose. And I'm just like, I'm not a fan of like building somebody up every single time to lose. And I know JC be like, well, that's how it works here. You always build a guy up so he can lose and bring him back down. But I want to see Jacob as a champion. I've already seen what Roman Reigns is going to do. He's going to take that title, have some matches, and then he's gonna go home. And it's like, okay, well,
And this is the thing where we were talking about last week, where it's okay. Well, now we know Roman's not taking. Well, we know Roman's not going to be around during June. Like that's already been like publicly. No, we don't got to dig nothing to find that out. So, if so, like, why is it that we're doing another month of Jacob? Like, if we're only going to have so much of Roman again, like it was last time, why are we not using the time to do more stories with him? Why are we not making this reign feel different? Because, like, as again, I can sit here and appreciate them making the Tongan death grip continue to feel like this actually dangerous thing. Because every time Roman would get up in the brawl, it was death grip. Then Jacob hit something. Roman would get back up. But it was the death grip that would keep Jacob back in. But I can only care about him putting Roman through the announce table so many times before it's like, well, how bad is being put through the table anymore? Because like the whole build of Roman and CM Punk was putting each other through the announce table. Mm-hmm. And now Jacob's done it twice to Roman. So it's like, what else are you going to do to it? Like I was waiting for him to just pull out a regular table so it wasn't the announce table. And then they just did the announce table. And I have to watch it not explode because these digi tables suck. Like I cannot stand the friggin' big blocks of 5 pieces molded together to make a table. Like, you know, so again, it's just a matter of I could like the show long narrative, like they're playing the Bloodline series hits. They're doing everything that makes a Bloodline story work. But it's just another Bloodline story that we're milking another month for to get the same result that we could have had if you just put somebody else here and created a different storyline.
Fair enough. Anyway, would you like to go hopeful now? Get that cleansing the palate. Glorious. You're my only hope. Now, we have hope scheduled, but as we decided to hit record, we didn't talk about something that happened at Backlash, and Zach and I really wanted to expand our minds here on this one. John Cena came out in his best Vince McMahon suit and said he's going to change the history of the WWE, hyperbolic indeed, and he said that there's going to be a one-night tournament, it sounded like. I could be wrong. Hopefully it's a one-night tournament, where it is John Cena's, John Cena will be there, obviously, but it'll be WWE talent, NXT talent, and the winner will be the champion and have a title for the John Cena Classic. The one thing that really stood out for me, Zach, was the fans vote. Now, I don't know if that means the fans vote to see who advances in the tournament or if the fans vote for the last match. Like, I feel like we need more information because the one thing to me that everybody was kind of like on board with, and then when he gave too much information, it was like, you don't even have to win to become the champion. And I'm like, huh?
So I read it a little differently than it being a tournament. From the way I understood it, it's gonna be the same way that his Saturday night's main event was, like 4 matches, put a main roster against the NXT, maybe a tag match in there. And then at the end, okay, here's your field of, say, 8 people. Who impressed you the most? That person will then be the John Cena Classic champion. That's what I got out of it, instead of it being, because that was my biggest crux, is how do you handle that in a tournament format? You know, like, because it made it seem like, okay, you could still be voted to be the champion if you lose your match. You know, so it's like, okay, how do you get voted as a champion if you're not even like in a later round of the tournament? Like, you're done. You can't be voted for. Not now. Yeah. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see, like you said, because there needs to be more information given about it. So like as those details get revealed, but this is what I mean, where it's like, okay, this is perfect for a Matt Cardona if it's the way my head works. Gosh, lose like you do every other time and look great losing and then be a champion. And because in my head, I'm like, this isn't going to be a defended thing, right? Like, this is going to be like a crown jewel. Again, the way I think of it, it's like, oh, this will be a crown jewel thing where, like, okay, they have the one where the champions fight and they get this belt. And now every year we'll have an event where John Cena's going to, have his little curated fight card, and then someone gets to leave with a belt. And it's something that people can put over on commentary that, he won the 2020 whatever John Cena Classic, and it propelled his career, even though it took him 3 years to get propelled.
That's a good point. I do wonder if the belt will spin.
It better.
Like, it's John Cena, right? It has to spin.
They made, 37 commemorative John Cena belts that all spun. If this one doesn't spin, it's a miscarriage of justice.
Wow. I didn't know that was going to touch a nerve. All right.
Oh, I mean, listen, WWE can do whatever the frick they want with their belts. I mean, look at these damn things half the time.
So my hope about this entire thing is that it definitely launches somebody into a new platform or a new stratosphere. I think if it's given to an Obafemi who's already arrived, I'll be upset. If you give it to somebody that is already known, I'm going to think this is just a scam. I think a lot of what John Cena probably wants to do is one thing. I'm sure what the WWE will try to accomplish is a different thing. I appreciate that maybe this is something we look forward to, but if there's one thing I know about the WWE, and it's not a knock, it's just history tells us, is that when you look at the Cruiserweight Classic, it was great for a couple of years, and then they got rid of it. Then there was the Mae Young Classic, and it was great, and then they got rid of it. And then, you have the King of the Ring, which they kind of do, but it was kind of like not as King of the Ring-ish as they bring it back, they get rid of it. And again, I just want to know in my heart of hearts that this is a thing that feels very authentic in a way that is very much John Cena. I would love, obviously, John Cena to be there to present the championship. I would love that it would spin. I would love, if you want to make this a big deal, if you want to make this feel like a Money in the Bank or a Royal Rumble-esque feeling of like you've won, you've arrived, then I feel like they need to put the production into it with like a different set, a different entrance feeling, or like the ropes have to change, the mat has to change, like everything that night has to be not John Cena specific, but like even if it's like, my mind went to the Arnold Classic where it was like, you see the fucking emblem of the fucking muscles of Arnold Schwarzenegger. You get the Schwarzenegger, award or whatever at the end of the bodybuilding thing. But like, that's what I want. I want it to look like an NBA logo with John Cena and the fucking thing. Like, I want everything to look like John Cena to make it a big fucking night. You need to put the pomp and circumstance into the first one as best as you humanly possibly can, because I feel like if you don't, and you make it look like Backlash, where it was just SmackDown's fucking set design with different graphics, I understand that you're trying to cut costs and whatever, but I think this particular instance is where you actually have to put your money where your mouth is if you want this to succeed.
I think the word you used that perfectly embodies my hope is authentic. I don't want it to feel like it's just another piece of the machine. I really do want it to feel like there is a chance for someone to break out, for someone to really make their name. And hell, I mean, again, you got to think about it in the sense too that, only one's going to be the John Cena Classic champion, but this is also a means of like just being on that card could get somebody noticed the same way it did for the John Cena Saturday last match main event. Like he touted about it on the show, like, December, Obafemi is fighting Cody Rhodes and then retiring Brock Lesnar 4 months later. Like, that's no slouch. Sol Ruka debuted against Bayley and is now mixing it up with the top stars of the women's division. So, like, if this John Cena Classic then allows more people to be able to exemplify, and again, it's that voting part of it, especially where it's like, is it going to actually be who the people are gunning for? Or is it, okay, here's 8 people that we all kind of just, like, in our heads, the business side of it, this is the 8 people we want to push. Which one of them do you like more? No, make it a varied selection of people. I always hear everybody talk about the Montez Ford. Sure, throw a Montez Ford in it, because if someone like him doesn't win the fan vote, then it's not authentic. Mm-hmm. But it's about the authenticity of it for me. And I think, again, the proof of concept is the last match show. So if they can capture that without it just being another Saturday's main event, like you said, having it really feel like a John Cena-esque built show, I don't know how you exactly do that, but I think if his handprints are on it, then it's going to come off more in line with what it should be, because it's no secret John has been constantly being like, I want to give back. I want to be able to help people be at the level that they need to be at. I want to leave this place better than I found it. And that should be the mindset, whether it's on the indie level that we're familiar with or on the big stage of the major platforms. Like, it should always be about leaving it better, you know. And for a career of John Cena where everybody could say that he never did that a day in his life, you know, it may have taken him 25 years, but at least the switch is finally flipped, and let's let him freaking run with it. Because like you said, I want this to be something that can be year upon year and actually feel exciting, like the Royal Rumble. I feel like this, I mean, there's a word used in it technically, but I feel like this kind of has in line with a C2 in AEW, which is like one of the very only few things I can, like, when it comes to Continental Classic time, I go, okay, maybe I'll watch a few episodes of AEW now, because, you know, like, they always create some intriguing matches with the fields. Like, those things will always be like, okay, this is at least good match time, you know? So hopefully this becomes a thing where when it becomes John Cena Classic time of the year, yes, all right, who's gonna be in it? Who's gonna be the next one? Who could potentially lose their way to a championship?
You had me until Continental Classic. On this program, that's a dirty word. It's a dirty word. Because the Continental Classic is bullshit. Bull.
And it might be over convoluted as shit, but sometimes when good wrestlers do good wrestles, you forget about the rules half the fucking time. I mean, hell,
erroneous.
Roman Reigns can cheat in front of a freaking referee with an exposed turnbuckle and nobody cares.
Erroneous.
Pageantry.
Erroneous. We're going to move on. All right, we're going to move on.
Wabadoo.
It's now time for our comeback. I'm going to give my comeback to a man that has not been on Raw for a very long time, but I was very impressed by him this week in particular because I feel like he's been doing good work. But this to me was a standout moment for this gentleman. And I was watching him going, this guy, God bless, is going to hopefully get his chance to show what he can seriously do, because him as an Intercontinental Champion would be fucking awesome. And that would be one all ego Ethan Page. I'm giving him my comeback because when I watched him talk, he just feels so comfortable when he talks. And I've watched hundreds of people cut promos, and you can tell who's comfortable in their voice and their skin. This guy has found his voice. There's a power behind his voice when he talks that a lot of people, you can tell once they find it, they're big deal. They're in the fucking big time. He has that in his voice. And on top of it, there was a random one-liner from Rusev, and he had comedic timing right away. And I was just like, that's fucking brilliant. Like, and I think All Ego really needs this Intercontinental Championship. I mean, Rusev's great. Javon Evans will have plenty of time in his life. He's like 20 years old to get all these things out of the way. But I think Ethan Page is an Intercontinental Champion, taking the fucking Canadian strap from the North American Championship and applying it to the Intercontinental Championship would be stellar. And I think that'd be wonderful. So that's why he gets my comeback.
I love that. I agree in the sense that he should win the title at Saturday's main event, because you know what? Penta had the ladder match. And now what after that? You know, let this guy flourish, because like you said, who knows how long a guy like him has versus a Javon Evans. Javon Evans has all the time in the world. Penta's going to be over with or without a belt. Let this dude just be a magnet and use that championship to, because again, I love where the same way in Sammy came out, Ego comes out and he's like, you know, that's the championship that made careers. That's the championship that you had to hold to break into the next level. And I know I'm already that guy, but I'm gonna win that because I have the pride that that championship represents. It's exactly like you said, like he has the voice. And I mean, so some other people I wish I still had voices is maybe Angel and Berto. I hope, you know, that their souls come back to their bodies after, you know, having to be obliterated by Obafemi. You know, maybe the locker room will come back, you know, and actually stand up to Obafemi next week in his Obi challenge. I don't know. He kind of flubbed that a little bit. You know, and if we're going to throw, comeback sees, where's Carmelo Hayes? We need a Carmelo Hayes comeback like yesterday, please. How's that knee doing, buddy? Come on, do what Ego's doing. Take over.
Fair enough. We're going to go to the big old finish here. There's not a lot to talk about. We're not going to talk about AEW here, although they did have Collision on a golf course, which I may check out just because I'm a big golf fan. But I'm curious. I'll have to talk to JC about that because he'll have some thoughts. I'm sure of it because we play golf a bunch. But we didn't see much to schedule for Raw or SmackDown. I think you said there's a women's tag team titles, which I am not looking forward to. The Judgment Day.
You know what? Impromptu hope. Please just put the tag team titles back on the Judgment Day. Same way where I'm kind of like sold on the Fatal Influence. Just let these three ladies have their freaking belts. Like, let's get Paige doing something, cause like I can't do Brie mode every goddamn show.
Yeah, it's tough.
we go in no mode.
Yeah, it's tough. This is a blunder in itself. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just curious. We haven't done this in a while, so I think I can do this real quick. We're not going to talk too much about it because we can't waste too much time. But I want to see what's on. Okay. JC would like this on Dynamite. There's a trios match, the Triangle of Madness. He's very big fans of, against the Brawling Birds and Sheeta, which I'm sure will be fine. It is what it is, but I'm looking at all this stuff on AW. They don't do a great job. Oh my God. And 10-man tag. Get me the fuck out of this.
They just had one of those on their Ring of Honor YouTube special. The only reason I'm watching is for Busta and the Brain because they had a tag team match.
I'm actually, and then they got a world championship match, which again will be a good match. It'll be Takeshita versus Darby Allin, but they have all these random people who are never going to fucking win the world title right away. It's just like, okay, great. In the Owen Hart brackets will be announced. Fine. Like, okay, we hear from MJF. And of course, we got Will Ospreay versus Ace Austin. It'll be a great match. But here's the thing. Let's go back to that 10-man tag. I don't think anybody gives a shit about a 6-man tag, a 4 to 8-man, like I like the 8-man, the 10-man, any 6. Anytime I see that shit, I think, what a fucking waste of my time. What a waste of my time. I do not care about this. There's no advancement. There's no nothing. So that's just how I feel about that.
Yeah, especially because like, when I look at it like a result and it's like, oh, the Bang Bang Gang and whoever else beat the Death Riders and the Dogs. And I'm like, aren't those like your two like most dominant heel thingy-maboobs that isn't the Don Callis family? Like, no offense to the Bang Bang Gang, but like they're winning in 2026 in random match. Like, what is that doing? I don't know. It's wrestling. Everything's in subjective, clearly. I mean, like, I don't mind a trios match, because I'm a big tag team wrestling guy, but when you start adding like so many more people, unless it's like a Survivor Series 10-man, then like we don't need 18 people in a tag team match. Like, 2v2, 3v3, you can do some really good innovative stuff in that. Then you just start overbloating it. And, a lot of things in wrestling are overbloated. Egos, opinions, everything. But that's what makes us able to do what we do here. That's what makes the Jobber Knocker such a great thing. That's what makes Nestlemania such an astute host for me to be here and peddle my BS and talk wrestling. It's a great thing.
Man, when JC comes back next week, he's going to be so mad that you said something nice about me. He's going to be like, who's this fucking guy kissing your ass?
This is the 180 Jobber Knocker. Like, that's why it's a hot tag, because you're desperately yearning for something positive when it comes to your interactions on this show. Nestle gets shit on enough. Nestle gets kicked when he is down enough. Someone gotta be there for him. Someone has to do it, and you know who it is? It's the Zote. The Zote knows what Nestle needs, baby.
That's the best way to end the podcast right there. All right. Thank you for being on the show again, Zach. I really appreciate you stepping in and filling the shoes of JC. I'm sure we'll hear all about his trip to España when he returns next week. But thank you for listening and watching the Jobber Knocker. We'll be back next week with some more Jobber Knockery.